and welcome to today's video. In this vlog, I'm going to be challenging myself to only read books with blue covers. Because I have a lot of books to get through on my TBR, I literally just went over to it, picked 4 books that have blue covers, and that's what we're reading in this vlog. And all of these are books that I have been needing to read and wanting to read for a long time, so it's about time I finally got around to them. First up, we have Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I started this one already. I'm about 50 pages in, and I'm really liking it so far. Something about her writing style, or maybe it's just the setting because I love the beach and I've been to Malibu a few times and it's such a fun beach place that I'm kind of really liking it. The setting is good. I already know there's going to be a ton of drama with these characters, with the way they're set up. I like how we're switching back and forth between the past and the present, and I'm just having a fun time so far. This follows 4 adult siblings, and I think they all live in Malibu, but they're all famous in some way, and the oldest sister has this giant Malibu mansion, and she always hosts a famous end of summer party for all these celebrities to come to. And the book follows the entire party from, I think it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wait, no. It's 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. after the party because it leaves you on a cliffhanger with the house burns down. So now as you're reading, you're trying to figure out, okay, we know that the house is gonna burn down. We know the party's gonna be crazy, but what's gonna happen? And it's so much fun so far. Hopefully I keep liking it because right now it's really good. All right, next up we have Twisted Love. This is book 1. This is like a whole Twisted series. I think there's 4. Yeah, I think there's 4 of them. I read about 50 pages of this a few years ago, but then I put it down because I wasn't in the mood, but I still wanted to read it, so now I'm gonna pick it back up again. All I know is that this is a romance. I don't know what the tropes are, I don't know how the characters are, but I've just heard so many people on TikTok, when I ask what do I read next and I show them my TBR cart, they said this one. So we're gonna read it and see how it goes. Next up is the Song of Achilles. I love Greek mythology, I love history, and I've been wanting to read this one for a hot minute. I literally just won it in a giveaway. This just arrived at my house a week ago, and I'm kind of excited to be reading it so quickly after just getting it. All I know is that this follows mythology. They're at war, it's the gods, but 2 of the gods fall in love, and it's supposed to be really sad. I'm very excited to read this one. And lastly, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my gosh, wait. We have 2 Taylor Jenkins Reid books. That's so funny. What are the odds that they're both blue? This is a newer book. It just came out this year, and I just know it follows NASA space missions, and it's also supposed to be really sad. I think it's also a love story too. There's romance in here, but I don't know if it's tragic romance or cute good romance. Either way, this was a lot of people's favorites for 2025, so I hope I like it as much as them. But yeah, these are the 4 books I'm going to be reading in this vlog. I've already started Malibu Rising, liking it a lot so far. I don't know the order in which I'm going to read the other ones, but I'm excited to read them nonetheless. All right, let's go read. Okay, so quick update. I finished these 2 books. So I read Malibu Rising first. 5 stars. This book was so good and so much fun to read. I love the vibes and the atmosphere of 80s Malibu surfing. I love the beach. I want to live there. So this was a dream to live through these characters and their lives for one day. And I think it was really smart how the book was planned out with the first and second half being different parts of the day, but then we're also jumping back and forth between the past and the present. And there was never a moment where I wanted to go back to the past or I wanted to go back to the present because one side was boring. They were both equally entertaining and emotional, and I flew through this book. And the second part of this book was so chaotic and entertaining because we kept switching back and forth between things happening and different characters and who they're interacting with. And in some way, for how many different little, not timelines, but like storylines that we got, it all added up in the end, and it was so good. It genuinely felt like watching one of those like crazy like teenage like high school or kind of like party movies, kind of like Project X or like Dazed and Confused in a way, where there's just so much happening at once, but make that rich celebrities. Either way, this is the first Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I have ever read, and I love her writing style. I know there's other books that she's written that kind of take place in this universe and kind of follow characters that we get little mentions of in this book, especially the Carrie Soto is back, and I can't wait to read those ones. So yes, 5 stars, definitely recommend this book. Next up, I read Twisted Love, and I gave this 4 stars. So many people were recommending this to me on TikTok when I showed them like my TBR and what I should read next. And I see why, because it was just a fun romance. I loved the way these two characters yearned for each other, and when they finally like confess their attraction, it was done in a way where I could feel their excitement like through the characters, so it felt real. However, for like that third act breakup, I didn't really like how it was gone about, which was why this was lowered a star, because up until that point I was loving this book. And I don't hate it, but I just didn't like the way that third act breakup was done, and then the way he like won her back kind of annoyed me, and I feel like the ending was just really rushed. But if I put all that stuff aside, because it's just a fun, silly romance, I really liked it. I had a fun time, and that's what matters. And even though I'm not a fan of like super controlling like main male characters when it comes to the romance, which he definitely was, he had his moments of good protection and overprotection, and the overprotection pissed me off, but the good protection was really sweet. So we're 2 books down for our little blue books reading challenge, and up next I'm going to be reading the Song of Achilles. And honestly, after those last 2 books, I'm just in a mood where I want to read everything, because everything I've read recently has been really good. So I'm so excited to start this one. I was reading this one last night because I started it and I'm like 50 pages in, and I was giggling and smiling at how cute this was and their friendship, maybe. And I was like so giddy and happy, and then I remembered that this is supposed to be like a tragedy, and then I started getting teary-eyed because I'm like, I barely started this and I'm already emotionally attached to these 2 boys, so what am I gonna do if one of them dies? And then I got really sad, and I almost started crying already, and nothing sad has even happened yet, but just the thought of something sad happening made me tear up, and that was so bad. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, this is kind of losing me a little bit. It's still good, but we're at the war part, and I don't know, I just feel like stuff is happening, but I'm kind of lost. Not confused, but just like I'm not feeling as entertained by it as I was in the first part. I'm like a little past the middle mark, and it's just not hitting as well. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in here. It's just not as good as it was at the beginning. Nothing changed with like the writing or anything. The writing is still really skilled and good. I'm just not as invested as I was in the beginning. I'm still like trying to read it every day and finish it, because there's so much potential for this ending, because I really love these 2 characters, but I just am not at a 5-star anymore. That's a good way to say it. Beginning part, I was at a 5-star. Now I'm probably at like a 4. Whatever happens with the ending will decide the final rating. I'm like 60 pages away from the end of this book, and I literally have no idea how it's gonna end. Like, at this point, I'm just, spoilers by the way, at this point, I'm just grieving that Achilles isn't the same person as he was in the beginning, and I just feel so bad for Patroclus. But it's just kind of, it's not like crying sad, it's just sad on the note that like these like people have changed, like these two characters have changed so much, and one of them has just changed for the worse. And it's just so sad to see Patroclus already grieving like his best friend. Like, his best friend is still alive, but he's not a good person anymore, and it's just really sad. I think I'm gonna save the rest of this book for tomorrow to like read and then film my reaction. But as of right now, like, there's probably still a chance that I could cry for sure, because I do really care for these characters. But I have no clue how it's gonna end, how this is gonna go down, what's happening in this war. The urge to just look up like Greek mythology to try and piece together like what's gonna happen in this is so strong, but I don't want to spoil it for myself because this is such a well-written book. I want to see it out to the end, and I want to see like what Madeline Miller does with the story, and then afterward I'll go look up like the Greek mythology and the like legends of it all and see how the two connect. Okay, it's the next day, and as promised, I'm going to finish the Song of Achilles. So I'll report back on how it goes and my final thoughts when I'm done. Okay, guys, I don't want to spoil, but I just read like the first like major death scene. If you know, you know. And the grieving, like, the only thing going through my head was like them at the beginning when they were so innocent and young, and it was so sad. I'm already crying. I didn't think I was gonna cry during this book because I didn't really know where it was gonna go. Like, in the middle, I was kind of lost, but now I'm like so sad and I'm so invested again. So yeah, I have like 40 pages left, so let's finish this. You guys, don't read this book if you don't want to cry. I'm done. Oh my god, I'm done. I can't. I can't. Never in my life have I actually like sobbed. Like, tears have fallen while I've read before, but never have I like sobbed. Like, I can't even talk about this damn book. This was so beautifully written, and I literally don't know what else to say. The last 50 pages of this book, literally the pages I just like held off to read today, broke my heart. And there's the last page, the last sentence, I swear to God, I threw this book down and just started sobbing. Like, oh my God. I thought everyone was bluffing when they talked about how sad this damn book was, but nope, they're right. It's really sad. I like, if I put this phone down and stop recording, I can literally, like, I'm gonna start crying again because I'm gonna start thinking about this ending. Oh my God. I highly recommend this book. Final review, as of right now, I think I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. It didn't give me a 5-star feeling, but it was so good. and it deserves all the hype it gets. I loved this book, and I think everyone should read it. It's really good. Okay, it's been a day and I could not stop thinking about this book, so it needs to be a 5-star now. This is 5 stars. Forget the 4.5, I'm rating this 5 stars. And because I'm done with this one, it's time to move on to the last book I have for this reading vlog, which is, let me grab it, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I've heard this one's also supposed to be kind of sad, not as sad as the Song of Achilles, I hope, but it's supposed to be emotional, and I'm excited for it because it just came out and it's supposed to be really good. Okay, it's been a little bit since I've checked in, but I'm still sick. I don't know if you can hear it, but I was sick last week and I carried over into this week. So I just haven't been talking to a camera because I sound terrible, I feel like. But I am 200 pages into Atmosphere and I am really enjoying reading it. Like when I'm busy, I think about picking it up because it's like in my mind, I love this book, but I just don't love it as much as I loved Malibu Rising. Like I feel like her writing style, you can totally tell her style with like similarities with both the books, but I just feel like I enjoyed Malibu Rising so much more, and I think that's probably because the setting of Malibu Rising was so much more immersive than this. I feel like the setting isn't immersive, it's more focused on these characters, which I'm also really enjoying. I really like these characters. They're growing on me, and I think it's really sweet that we're obviously like the present day in this book. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not happy. But then going back to the past and seeing like how all of their friendships and relationships blossomed was really cool because they're all adults, but they're all thrown into this NASA like space program to learn. So it kind of feels like the beginning of college, and they're all like finding each other and finding like their friendships in like a college way. Does that make sense? But I do really want to finish this one in the next few days so we can wrap up this vlog and I can give my full thoughts. So I finished Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid yesterday, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. The ending, see, I don't know, I don't want to spoil this book for you, but there's so many things that like I need to spoil to talk about. So just if you haven't read it yet, be warned, there may be some spoilers in this little discussion, but I need to get my thoughts out. First of all, the ending scared me so bad. Like, I genuinely thought they were gonna leave it on like a bad ending because like right up until the last few paragraphs, it's like, okay, so I was reading a tragedy this whole time. I understand that we aren't gonna get closure on everything because of the way this book is written. It's like it starts on this day and you get a backstory, but you don't get anything into the future. So I understand why we didn't get any closure on what was happening with the families who lost astronauts and the aftermath of how that affected everyone, which kind of sucks because I'm the type of person where like it keeps me up at night because I'm like, oh my god, like what about this character? Or how did this affect that? Like the author never elaborated on that, and I just keep thinking about that. But it's okay because I understand why it happened. I didn't know, it literally says a love story, but I didn't know how much romance was gonna be in this, and I kind of see why she put a love story on here because it's not only like a romance, but it's also a love story of like finding purpose in a way. And it talks a lot about how like the universe put us all here to do what we needed to do, and our paths are gonna cross over with people who we're meant to know and who we're gonna impact. And the main character kind of talked about her theory about this a lot, and it was just really sweet to see how eager she was to bring it up to whoever would listen, because she believed in it so much. It was so powerful to her. So it's kind of a love story because yes, there is romance in here. It's not romance driven, but there is romance in here. But it's also a love story because of how the main character perceives life and what she loves to do and what she believes in. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it was really sweet. Now to talk about the most insufferable character I have ever read, Barbara, the main character's sister. The main character's name is Joan. Her younger sister is Barbara. Barbara, like, is the complete opposite of Joan. Joan has always been academically driven. She like knows what she wants in her career, blah blah blah. Barbara is kind of just messing around. She's sleeping around, and then when Barbara's in college, she ends up pregnant, doesn't even know who the father is, and she decides to keep that baby. But like, she's not meant to be a parent. Some people just aren't meant to be parents, and Barbara is an awful parent. So Joan pretty much is raising this child, like doing the most for this kid, and the child's name is Frances, and Joan and Frances become best friends, and Barbara is just mean to Joan after Joan does literally everything for Barbara and her daughter. And just every single interaction with Barbara, it was like, wow, I honestly hate you. You are an awful, mean person. Just super selfish, did not care about anyone but herself, did not even acknowledge her daughter as like a person. Like, she would want to go out because she says she wants to have an adult life. And Joan is like, no, like, your kid is part of your life. And Barbara's like, no, she isn't. And I'm just like, what? So yeah, that was actually it was awful and it made my blood boil, but it was really cool that I actually hated a character that much. But other than the hate, I really loved Joan and I really loved Vanessa, which is great because there are two main characters, but I also really liked Griff, and I'm kind of sad with what happened with Griff, but we're not going to talk about it. I am just upset that it was brushed over so quickly, but it's okay. The story was focusing on Joan and Vanessa. When I was reading this, I was enjoying it. I was entertained, but it wasn't as good as Malibu Rising was, and I know I shouldn't really compare them because they're very different stories, but I just really liked the connection I had with the characters in Malibu Rising, and I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid did a better job of putting me in the atmosphere of like 80s Malibu in Malibu Rising. And then for this one, it was very dialogue heavy, I want to say, because I feel like there wasn't a lot of description of setting, which I really love, but it was really quick because the dialogue drove the story, if that makes any sense. I didn't dislike that about this book. It just wasn't what I prefer. It just wasn't what Malibu Rising was, I feel like. Because Malibu Rising, I felt like I was in the setting. For this one, I didn't feel like it was in the setting. And then when Joan finally went up to space, I feel like that part was so brief for the buildup we had pretty much the entire book. But in a way, I kind of understand why, because when she was finally up in space, all she wanted to do was go home because she finally found people on Earth that she loved. So it kind of switched her perspective, which if you think about it that way, and if that's what Taylor Jenkins Reid was trying to do, it was actually pretty smart. But if not, I was kind of bummed because of how brief her actual space journey was. So because of all of that combined, I'm going to give this 4 stars. I did still really enjoy it. It was a really good book, and I flew through it when I actually got the time to sit down and read. I would read for a long period of time, but it just wasn't as good as I feel like some people may be making it out to be. I don't know. I haven't heard that much about this book in a hot minute, so I don't know if it's actually like 5-star, everyone loves it, or if it's just like a good book. But this was a good book. I'm giving it 4 stars. So after reading Atmosphere, I'm going to wrap up this vlog because we finished our TBR for this vlog. And I'm not gonna lie, these books did not disappoint. This was a really good reading vlog because I liked everything I read. For my favorites, I genuinely cannot pick between Malibu Rising and the Song of Achilles because this one, just everything about this one I loved. I loved the characters. I loved the way we jump back and forth between the past and the present. Nothing felt rushed or forced when it came to that time switch, which is how you know that both time periods, both stories that are happening are equally entertaining. So I was flying through this book, and I was telling my mom how much I loved it, and she's like almost done with it. She started reading it right after me. And then this one, I love Greek mythology. The beginning of this book is so sweet because these 2 boys are finding their place in the world alongside each other, and they're just building that relationship. And it was just so cute to see them grow together. The middle was a little slower. It started to lose me a little bit, but the reason this is still 5 stars is because the ending was phenomenal. This book was so sad, saddest book I have ever read to this day, which is why I can't choose between either of these 2 because they both hit me so hard in different ways. I highly recommend both of these books. And then I read Twisted Love. This was a fun little romance, but I read through it so quickly because it's addicting. I couldn't put it down, which is why I gave it 4 stars, because it just, I don't know. I couldn't put it down. This is not my favorite like romance couple that I've ever read about, but something about this made it so that I seriously finished it in like 3 days. Like, I would sit and read for at least like 100 pages at a time, which like never happens for me because I always either have to go do something or the book's not even holding my attention for that long. So maybe I've just been reading the wrong books, but this was so much fun. It's not a 5-star because it wasn't phenomenal, but it was like, it's understandable for me to get the hype now because this was just fun. And then Atmosphere, I just finished talking about this one, but also highly recommend. So if you guys need any recommendations, pick from any of these 4 because I feel like there's something for everyone in this little stack, and I loved all of these books. And they're all so pretty. They're all blue. They match. I kind of liked this color like pick vlog because it made sure that every book that I read was kind of a different genre, so I wasn't ever put in a slump because I was not reading the same thing over and over again. So if you guys liked this, let me know like what color should I do next, what color books should I read next for a vlog. And if you have read any of these books, I have to show them off because they all match. It's so fun. If you've read any of these books, or if you want to, let me know your thoughts about them. Let me know why you want to read them, or if you have any questions about them. If you're on the fence about reading them, feel free to ask and I would love to reply. Bye!